Counselor Accents Podcast. Two school counselors who love their jobs. Oh, and they happen to have Southern accents too. Bless their hearts.
I'm Laura Rankford.
I am Kim Crumley, and together we are Counselor Accents.
You're still struggling. I hear it.
I am on the struggle bus. I don't know if I can actually say I'm a long hauler yet out with this COVID, but it is definitely hanging on. What is so funny, though, is my husband, who has had cancer and pre-diabetic and is overweight and is old.
He's not going to listen to this, is he? I don't want his feelings to get hurt with you saying all these things.
Well, listen, after this episode, I've got the divorce papers ready.
Okay.
And it's just no rhyme or reason. You know, I have no health issues, and it stuck me, but it's been okay. It's been doable. I was at work all week last week, so
I'm sure they appreciated that.
Well, I'm over the you can catch it from me phase. I think I'm in the probably secondary infection or something. But anyway, enough about me, which is there ever enough about me?
I mean, we could do a whole episode on you.
I would love that.
So we have a special treat for our listeners today. In honor of National School Counseling Week, we wanted to give you guys something we would want to be given, and that is the gift of laughter. We just felt like
our favorite.
It's our favorite. And we felt like everybody is so tired and burnt out. And we live by the fact that laughter is good like medicine. And so we wanted to just share a couple of our funny stories, things that have happened to us over the years. And so that's what we've decided to do today.
We love storytelling. It is kind of a Southern thing to be a storyteller. And so, yes, we're going to share some stories. I will say that my dad to this day will say, he will not say to me, "What did you do today?" or "How was your day?" He will say, "What did you laugh about today?"
Oh, I love that.
That has always been kind of our family coping mechanism, because even in the darkest times during my family's life, I can look back and see where we could find something to find joy about and to laugh about. And it is a coping mechanism that I've grown up with. I think if you can find something to laugh about every day, even if it's in ourselves, you know, Laura and I, we laugh at ourselves as much as we do anyone else. But just, I think one of the things, we did an episode on dealing with difficult people. And I think one of the things that we see humor in humanity. And so it's not necessarily that we're laughing at somebody. It's just that we see fallacies in all humans and ourselves. And if you can take it like that, I think you're able to get along with more people and deal with yourself more. I mean, we're just human and we do very human things. Other people might get angry. We get somehow or another, it's like we're in an episode of The Office at work.
That's
sometimes.
Exactly how it is.
And we see Meredith and we see Michael and we see, you know, all of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we all have, like I said, all these imperfections. And if we can laugh at that, it's just makes life easier, better, happier.
And if you somehow along your life's journey happen to be fortunate enough to find a friend who has the same humor coping skill as you, like you and I have done, that has helped so much, because when you feel like getting angry, sometimes you can just call and it's something you can laugh about together.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's so good to have a friend to laugh with, to the point where you cannot drive, you cannot see to drive. You have to pull over because you have tears rolling down your eyes. Or the best is to be in a meeting with said friend.
I love that.
There is nothing worse than or better than, whichever way you want to look at this, than you know you're supposed to be professional and you are shaking all over.
That's
because somehow something has struck both of you as funny. And we have actually been on a job we had, and we were on a Zoom call with all these professional people, and something on the Zoom call made us laugh. Like, you text me and we were laughing so hard. There was no way to hide that we were laughing. We got a call. We got a call
Yeah.
from our boss.
If somebody said, I will give you $1 million to stop laughing in that moment, I could not have
couldn't.
stopped laughing.
Nope.
It was beyond my control. There's a point where you laugh so hard that you cross over to where you lose control of everything. That's where I was that day.
Bodily functions included.
Gone.
Gone.
That's also my
So-
favorite. And my goal every day is to lose bodily functions because I'm laughing so hard.
I hope that I have enough air.
Well,
to
I was going
tell
to
this
say,
story.
we're going to keep this short for your health. So
Thank you.
we
And for our
cannot-
listeners, we're going, thank you, Lord.
because your voice, I'm going to be honest with you, it sounds like nails on a chalkboard. Like, I'm not
Ooh.
saying it affects me that way. I'm saying that's actually what it sounds like when you talk.
Oh, okay. We'll try. That's
Okay.
all I can say. We'll try.
I have an idea.
Tell me.
Why
Okay.
don't you interpretive dance your stories, and I, with my voice, will tell what you're trying to say.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. If you knew sign language, you don't have a deaf child.
Okay.
If you knew sign language,
I can try my best. I'll try my best.
may I take the lead on this? and tell-
Absolutely.
Okay. So I know if you've been listening long enough, you probably know that I have an incredibly wonderful, precious, perfect husband. And I've nicknamed him B12 because he has the energy of a snail. I mean, it is to the point where he to get up every morning, he has to have that shot, not a pill, but a shot of B12. And he comes by it honestly. He comes from a family of B12s. Okay. So think sloth-esque.
Okay.
But when I say this, I mean he's a successful person. He has ran banks. He has ran school. He's been on school boards. He's on boards. He's a very with it kind of guy. But he is a B12.
Other than
Kinda
the energy level, he is like the perfect. Like, he is the family man. When I bring my girls over, I don't even
Yes.
have to worry about them because he
No,
takes them and lets them drive the golf cart at the age of 6, which they still talk about. So
Yes, which is pretty much against golf cart regulations. So thank you for telling that.
but okay. Well,
It
I'll
says
take
on there
that.
16 or so anyway, I was in the process of getting my school counseling degree. And I had to video a lesson. So I invite it was going to be a lesson for teens. So I invite my son and the girl he's married to now, his girlfriend, and I invite some youth from the church and some neighborhood kids over. And I'm going to feed them, and I'm going to do this lesson, and I'm going to video it to send because it was in the summer or whatever. So I'm going to video this lesson, send it to my professor. So I have a brand new dress. It is beautiful. It is sunny yellow. I've spent a pretty penny on this dress. I am looking super hot. Set up the video, have the group of youth there, the teens. I do my lesson, everything's going well. Afterwards, as teens will do, they linger. They're lingering. And what can I do?
Right.
So they stay until I'm in heels. I am
Ugh.
worn out. But I've done my lesson. I feed them. They hang out for a while. It's fine. So that, I go to bed at 8, 10 o'clock, they're leaving. So at that point, B12 comes through with a box of wax. And he says to me, will I wax his back? And I'm like, no, I will not wax your back. It is 10 o'clock. I am tired. Now, Spencer and his girlfriend were still here in the home. And I'm like, I am not waxing your back. Well, I don't know if your husband or if our listeners' husbands do this, but my husband will sulk. And if you don't know what soul means, it is just fine. That's fine. But I'm going to get the silent treatment for a day or two. Now, I do not know, other than he was probably having an affair, why he would need said backs waxed. Oh, that particular night. I have no idea. And so, and let me just say, is that where we're going to start? I mean, we have two hairs left on our head, and we have a bit of a pot belly, but we are going to worry about that back being waxed. And so I am like, okay, we're going to wax this back. So
Can
I
you
stomp.
can you
Go
paint a
ahead.
picture for us of what this back looks like? Is it a little bit of wax that's going to be needed, or
This is this is um let's just say full on fur back. I mean,
okay,
we have and let me just say when I married him in the 80s, that was the Magnum PI years, and the more
okay,
hair the better. But
okay?
just things had changed. I'm gonna be honest, he wanted that hair off his back. So I am stomping mad. So I run it, I take that box of and it was a box of wax. I mean, my gosh. So I heat up the oven. I put the wax on. It comes with a paddle board, like your, fishing boat paddle board. So I heat this up to a scalding boiling point. He's in the bathroom. I said, "You get in the bathroom, you take your shirt off." So I go with this boiling wax, and I get the paddle board, and I mean, I just start. I didn't even read the instructions. I'm gonna be honest, Laura. I start slathering this wax on his back. I cover the entire back instead of one
Patches.
section patches.
Ugh.
So it comes with like sheets, huge sheets. I put the first sheet down and I grab hold and I just jerk. He goes to his knees. I mean, he
Oh,
goes to his knees. He's like, he's screaming. He's screaming. He said, "I can't do this. I can't do this." I said, "No, the wax is on there and you're doing it, big boy. You wanted it. We're going to do it." I put the next section of wax on. I mean, of sheet to take the wax off. And by this time, because I had done the entire back, it is starting to harden.
oh my goodness.
So it is like that second will not come off. It is already hardened. It has made a 6-inch shellac all over his
Oh
back.
my goodness.
It is like he is completely shellacked all over. So at this point, we have done enough fussing and arguing, and he is in pain that I hear my son squeal out of the driveway with his girlfriend. I mean,
Oh
they're
no.
getting out of Dodge. So I promise you, I worked for 2 hours trying to chisel that off, and he's begging me to take him to the emergency room.
Oh my goodness.
I am like, "I am not taking you to the emergency room. I would die of embarrassment before I took you with this shellac back." So it ends up, I go in, I am chiseling, I'm doing everything I can. I finally went in there and prayed, "Lord, help me get this stuff off of his back. I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do." I
I'm going to
found
guess that that is the only time that the Lord has gotten that specific prayer.
it could be, "Help me get the wax off my husband's back." It was horrible. He said, "We're just hey," I'm like, "You're just gonna have to sleep on with it, and we'll have to deal with it tomorrow." And he's like, "I can't." I mean, it was horrible. So I found some acne medicine of my son's in the I was using everything. So I tried that. I don't know what was in that, but that was enabled me to chisel that wax off of his back. But to this day, Laura, he still has scars
Oh my
all
goodness.
over his back. And
Physical and emotional.
when his shirt is off, the entire family is. I mean, we're laughing at that whole episode of the back waxing that went south. Needless to say, his hair has never grown back. Let me just say
Okay.
that did it. I mean, that
Okay.
that was it.
Oh my goodness. Well, ugh, that hurts me for him.
I know.
But that's on him because
He has
at
never
10
asked
o'clock.
me to help in any other way.
Okay. And very good. Well, you told a story about when you were in school. So I'm going to tell an explicit story about when I was in school. I'm not a teacher. I've never been a teacher. So the only place that I could get my counseling degree was 3 hours away. So 3 or 4 nights a week, I was driving 3 hours away and then sitting through class and then driving 3 hours back. And so I knew that it was temporary. I knew if I can just get through this, then I will be so glad on the other side. So I made that sacrifice of time and driving and everything, and that's where I went to school. It was the only place in like anywhere close by that would do a counseling degree if you didn't already have your education degree. So they kind
Right.
of did it
Yeah.
together at the same time. So in this season of me getting my counseling degree, I also had a baby. And so I went back to school. I started classes again when she was 4 weeks old. That was when the semester started up again. So I was dead set on trying to pump bottles for her. Sorry to our men listeners, but it's natural, okay? Um,
You're so funny.
so every afternoon, I mean, when you think about it, like you need to pump bottles like every couple of hours.
Yes. Yeah.
So with a 3-hour drive and then sitting through several hours of classes and then a 3-hour drive home, I was at least pumping bottles. Sometimes I would pump them twice on the way over there and twice on the way back. When I look back on it, I'm like, give the girl formula. Like, why was I making life so much more difficult on myself? But for some reason, you couldn't reason with me 4 weeks postpartum. There was no
Right.
reasoning.
Right.
So anyway, I was pumping bottles. And so I took all of my pumping equipment. And if you can imagine trying to drive on the interstate or divided highway and suiting up, we'll say, getting all that gear on and driving while pumping bottles.
Amazing.
Yeah, it really was. But I would say that every truck driver from here to school, that 3-hour drive, if I were to have a car accident, every truck driver could have identified me, not by my face, not by anything else, but
other body parts.
Other body parts, because every truck driver from here to there got flashed. So,
And speaking of pumping,
yes,
you have to tell about you being on the phone
Okay.
with the Department of Human Resources and your principal.
Yes. My principal and I were tag teaming on a deal with a kid, and we had to talk.
And this was last week, right?
Yeah, this was very recent. We had to talk to DHR. We'd been waiting all day to talk to her. So finally we get to talk to her. We're in his office. And so she starts talking, and we hear in the background the wah, 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 wah. I know immediately because that sound is forever etched into my brain.
Haunts your dream.
It does, yes. And he looks at me and he starts he turns his head like, what could that sound be? And I know exactly what it is. And I start shaking my head because I know where this is going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, because he's a very inquisitive person, he has that 21st century skill of curiosity. It is his gift. So he looks at me and turns his head. I'm shaking my head. No, he's making windshield wipers with his fingers, like thinking that it's windshield wipers. And I'm shaking my head. No. And so he talks to the girl. He's like, hey, and he says her name. And I know he's about to ask her, like, are you out in the rain? What's going on? And I'm shaking my head vigorously. No, no. But then if you have ever pumped a bottle, you know that at one point the rhythm changes. And so then it starts going, wah, 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 wah. And he looks at me.
It's going now.
Oh, it's going.
We're going to town now.
Yeah. And anyway, so we get off the phone and he's like, what in the world was that? He said, it sounded like windshield wipers. He's trying to guess that sound like on the radio show. And he said, what was that? He said, I was going to ask her, hey, are you all up in the dashboard? Because it sounds like windshield wipers. And I looked at him, and, you know, this is not something that my mother would approve of talking about in mixed company.
Right.
So I apologized to my mom. I said, I can tell you exactly what that sound was. She was pumping a bottle during that time, and his face did get red. I have to say, his face got red. He was like, okay. He said, I am so glad that I didn't ask her what that sound was, because I almost started up a conversation about it.
You
So
knew it. You were trying to stop him
I was trying to stop, like I do you so frequently. Try to stop
so
him.
frequently. You do, because we're in different systems now, so I have no one to stop me. But
Yeah.
if I have an audience, there is nothing I like better. And sometimes I cross the line on what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. And I don't have you going, sit down, stop talking, Kim.
And
So I'm
sometimes
just,
I can read the room and you can't. And
no,
so I
no,
can see whenever one of our counselor friends is getting uncomfortable with you because he thinks you're flirting, and I know that you're just
right.
being yourself.
Yes, yes. And I don't have you going, stop, stop, stop.
God bless him. I can't even imagine what you're putting that man through without me.
So I have to share one more story.
Okay.
And it's a series of stories, events, if you will. But my ex-husband, which is my ex-principal, because I have a new principal now, and we've not got to share in the funeral scene
And
together.
just for clarification, he's your ex-work husband. He wasn't actually
No, my
standing
ex-work
in front of
husband.
a pastor
No,
husband. Okay.
ex-work husband. And so, over the years, unfortunately, we have had students who've lost people that were important to them, right? And so it was important to us for us to always attend, not just visit the kid and the family or the student, but to actually go to the funeral.
Mhm.
And that's a lot of funerals over the years.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I don't know if you've ever saw the classic Mary Tyler Moore show where No the clown dies, and she is so upset and she's angry at everybody else who thinks this is funny. She gets at the funeral and she cannot stop laughing. And that is unfortunately me at any situation where it is serious. It's called something. It's a disease.
Is it?
So there
I
is
have that.
is
I
like,
have it too.
yeah, you do. And my ex-work husband has it. So we were at a funeral, and it had really been hard for me because this family I was closer to, the children had had a rough time, and so I was just tore up about this, and I knew it was going to be a hard funeral to be at. So we're there together at this funeral, and this woman gets up and she said, "I would like to sing a song." And that always kind of is a trigger for me. I mean, I could go, if somebody's going to sing, it could crack me up.
Could
But when
we
she
could we
says, go
could we
ahead.
segue into maybe why that's a trigger for you? Your at your old church, how if somebody was trying to get ready for a pageant, they would come practice on your church, and
They
what
would,
your
that's
pastor would
right.
say?
Yes. And that would crack me up. It's
Because they
like,
would sing.
and yes. And if they were beautiful, my pastor would always say, "Oh, I've got chill bumps big as hickory nuts." And but if they weren't pretty, he never had those chill bumps. I was like, "What?"
And
Anyway,
and just this is funny to me too. It was in church, but they would sing like "Baby Got Back" or something.
it seemed totally inappropriate. I'm like, we are
Just
literally using the church to practice your pageant song. Anyway, so
I'm
we're
sorry.
there in this. No, that's funny. So this woman stands up and she says, "I wrote this song."
Oh,
Okay, she's
even
singing
better.
and she wrote it.
Okay.
And I can see he's the principal's beside me. I can see him tense up. He's getting ready to hold it back. And he's been cracking jokes just a little bit on and off, because that's how he handles stress.
Right.
And I know that. He's a good guy. And I know that. I'm just like, okay, but I'm tore up about this. I'm crying. The lady says I wrote this song. And then she goes, "She died. She just up and died." I busted out laughing. I mean, it was horrific. He turned beet red because there was no holding it back. I mean, I had to put my head in my hand
Oh gosh.
and just act like I was squalling because there was no way out of it. People were looking back, going, people were patting me because I mean, I had to go full on sobbing over this. It was just like this woman had decided it was like it was like a Saturday Night Live episode where she was looking around and writing it. There are people here who love her and looking around. I see Aunt Joan, and I'm done. I mean, I'm like, I'm done. I
I
cannot
couldn't
handle it.
even.
So, and I have to, you mentioned the pastor, this same pastor, I'd not saw him in years. Me and my principal at the funeral home, you know this story. It's another person has died. We're at the funeral home. This pastor I bet he was over 6 feet tall and was not a small person. He sees me. He comes at me.
Like a
I'm
Great Dane.
standing there like a Great Dane. He is headed toward me. I'm standing there by my principal. My ex-pastor is headed toward me. He wraps his arm around me, loses his footing, falls. We fall onto the pew. I am laying flat. And he is on me. He's not a young man at this point. He is completely, we are sandwiched on top of each other. We could not be closer. And I look up and I can see my principal just shaking all over. He is laughing so hard. And it takes about 3 men to get him off of me. I
Oh
mean,
my
I am in a
goodness.
dress and heels. I am laid out flat on the pew.
And you're a tiny chihuahua.
I'm a child, and this is a huge, you couldn't even see me under there, but I could peek out and I could see Richard laughing, my principal laughing. So anyway, we have many, it's we call it one of our favorite times is these funerals. So yes, even at the saddest times, this humanity and policies, and it's just, you can find things to laugh at.
So we always say that we put the fun in funeral.
Yes.
There are so
Even
many.
at your own father's funeral.
I was going to
which
go
was
there. Yeah.
So sad because and I know that because I was with you on the back scenes of this, that our
Right.
listeners don't see the pain and the sorrow. But what I found so amusing is that even through this, you and your sister found laughter, which I'm sure your dad would have been very happy about,
Absolutely.
being a counselor himself,
Yes.
that you had found humor in this situation.
Yes. We had one of those moments where we had to pretend like we were crying during the funeral because we were laughing so hard. It was
Yes.
a very interesting and funny ceremony that maybe we'll talk about one day, but
Yes,
not today.
I hear you. Yeah.
I had one more story, but I mean, really, I think that your funeral stories are a great place to end
Okay.
because, I mean, you really can't top that. And I'd rather us go out with a bang on this one, and we'll have to save Big Earl and the Sex Biscuits for later.
I think I'm excited about that. I'm excited to hear this.
Yeah. So
happy National School Counselor Week. We hope that you found.
Counseling.
I said counseling, Laura. I
did.
never do not say counseling.
Ugh.
Is it because I think it's all about me?
Is
that what it is?
Yes, always.
It's not about me. It's counseling, and I fully intend to advocate for my program. I have some great and wonderful things planned.
I don't know that your school even remembers that you live there anymore with you being gone.
Yeah. Well,
you
I
may
was
not.
back last week. I was back last week.
On purpose.
I was back.
the
Yeah.
week before
On
National School
purpose.
Counseling Week.
I drug myself up there with 2 puffs of wind left in my lungs and tried to look as pitiful as I could and dropped a few hints. It's
Okay.
National School Counseling. And I would say it's not about me. Hoping when I say it's not about me, they know it's about me.
I got you.
So we'll
Yeah.
see. I'll let you know. I'll let
Okay.
you know.
All right. Well, we hope that you all have a great National School Counseling Week. If no one celebrates, you know that we are celebrating the great work that you do. And, this has just been our little gift to you. We hope that you've laughed a little bit. Laughing is our coping skill. So we're passing along a coping skill for you. Speaking of coping skills, make sure you check out our Rubber Meets the Road episode from last week, which was all about why coping skills are the blanket treatment that work for our students, how to use them, why to use them, and what we've done that totally transformed the way that we do classroom lessons and teach about coping skills. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram. You can join our email list so that you get little goodies in the mail every so often. And you can rate and review and subscribe to our podcast so you'll never miss an episode. And just so you know, we have been named the #1 school counseling podcast in the nation for yet another year. So thank you guys. Thank you to our listeners who listen and share these episodes. We couldn't be here without you.